A day after there was crosswind chaos on the 8th fastest Tour de France stage ever, it was time for mountain madness. The first big battle of a Pyrenean weekend, and each and every rider was up for the fight. Richard Carapaz looking for success from a breakaway. Total Energie have already had one win. Remco Evenepoel wanted to be right up there on the podium, and Carlos Rodriguez looking to join him. There were masks about at the start, however, and there were a couple of riders less. No Tom Pidcock, he was out with COVID. Boivin didn't start, and 151.9 kilometres taking the riders up the valleys into the Pyrenees, leaving Pau heading over the mighty Tourmalet, Orquet d'Ancizan, and then finishing up at Saint-Lary-Soulan. Pla d'Adet, 50 years after the first ever finish there, had seen the 7th and final victory for Raymond Poulidor at 38 years of age. It was a cloudy start, riders leaving Pau, one of the most visited cities in Tour history. All smiles from Tadej Pogačar. What good he, Vingegaard and the rest produced today. Stage 14 then underway, and the predictable fast start. Try and try they would. Nobody able to get away in a breakaway. 20 kilometres had passed, and then Ben Healy tried. Several different riders went away. There were 2 or 3 groups that went. The first led by Arnaud Delis and grandson of the late great Raymond Poulidor, Mathieu van der Poel. The world champion up the road in a group of 8. Another group of over 10 riders chasing on. And behind, acceptance of what was happening. That didn't last long though, because with just under 90 k's to go, Pollitt was at it. The break was already being controlled, and the intermediate sprint would see Coquard and Delis face off. This group were just a little ahead of Philipsen and Girmay. The Eritrean taking it and getting 1 point in the standings. German star Pollitt continued his work for Tadej Pogačar, wanting to strangle the race, keep the break in check, and seemingly go for the stage. The break was breaking up, knowing they were under pressure under 4 minutes going over the Tourmalet. And there was a fight at the top for the first to be across. Always a prestigious prize. The Souvenir Jacques Godet, won by the Basque rider Oyer Lascano. Most difficult climb of the day done, but not the decider. 3:44 for what was left of the break, and descending at over 100 kilometres per hour. That gap down to 3:30 as they went to the penultimate climb of the day, the Orquet d'Ancizan. And the gap really started to come down as the pressure was exerted behind and at the front, where Van der Poel was dropped, as was Quinn, the American champion. Soon there were 5 at the front of the race. Meintjes, Gaudu, Lascano, Kwiatkowski all with Healy. Gaudu took maximum points just over the Orquet d'Ancizan before a very technical but fast descent, so everyone just about hanging on. Marc Soler was now riding like a dream behind, and he'd brought the gap down to 1 minute and 20 seconds in the final valley. There was 1 climb left, the 11 k's to the Pla d'Adet. First to seed was Kwiatkowski, a 2-time Tour de France stage winner and former world champ, as Healy set off in search of glory with Gaudu in his wheel. Well, that didn't last long. Gaudu, goodbye. And behind, UAE still continued. This time it was local boy Pavel Sivakov before Joao Almeida would take over. Healy held over a minute though and was dreaming of a stage win. Then Adam Yates attacked. Questioned as to what was happening. Was it a satellite rider? Was he going for his own glory? Healy was ahead. Yates only 25 seconds behind, and as he continued to look back, you just knew that this was coming. Tadej Pogačar in yellow and attacking. Vingegaard naturally having to go off in search of him, and behind him, Evenepoel hanging on the wheel. They got to within 30 metres. Yates turned on the afterburners. Healy was left behind, and Vingegaard was disappearing into the distance. That was that from Adam Yates. 4 Ks for Pogačar to ride home, and alone if he could. Could Vingegaard respond at 9 seconds with 3Ks to go, but it was building. Evenepoel had been dropped by Vingegaard this time. He was at 35 seconds inside the last 2Ks, and it was over 20 from the yellow jersey to Vingegaard. It was even more by the time he crossed the line. The Pyrenees belonging to Pogačar, and after the momentum had been stolen away from the Slovenian, it was the Danish reigning champion who this time ceded time. Evenepoel coming across and swapping positions on the podium with Jonas Vingegaard. Delight for Pogačar, the Tour not over, but an increase in his lead, and again a wrestling away of that momentum. Pogačar, the strong man on the day, UAE Emirates in control. But it was only the first summit finish, despite the 39-second gap to Pogačar. Vingegaard will know he's still in the game. Teamwork making Pogačar's double Giro and Tour dream work for now. And look at that advantage. 1 minute 57 for Pogačar. 2:22 back to Evenepoel. Other riders moving up into the top 10 with a couple of non-finishers. Yellow jersey on the back of Tadej Pogačar. Yet another day, but it's another and more harder day in the mountains to come. Loudonvielle to the Plateau de Belle. Plenty of big name climbs along the way. This one is a mountain beast, almost 200 kilometers and almost 5,000 meters to climb. Peak after peak before an all-category finish to say goodbye to the Pyrenees. You can watch it live and on demand on the home of cycling. It's Eurosport and Discovery Plus.